And now it's time for Lunch with Benefits.
This is Jay Glazer and Randy Couture's MMA Athletics.
Fight, baby. 10 seconds, Ryan. Finish the fight. We will elevate you past other people that play your same position in this sport.
I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life just from all this, not only physically but mentally.
Plus, we'll bring you up close and personal as we introduce you to the beautiful women in the world of MMA. This is MMA Athletics. What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Rochelle Leah, and welcome north of the border as we're set to kick off Season 2 of MMA Athletics. It's going to be an amazing season as we'll be joining you all summer long from every major MMA event the sport has to offer. On today's episode, we'll be bringing you all the highlights from UFC 129 right here in Toronto. Plus, we have a new segment here on MMA Athletics called Open Guard. It's where we take you outside the sport and introduce you to the storylines that motivate and inspire these fighters. Today's premiere of Open Guard is on the passing of the torch from Randy Couture to his son Ryan.
Despite the fact that he's pushing 50, Dad's still a tough customer, and I pretty much resigned myself years ago to the fact that I'd never be able to kick his ass.
We flash back to last season as we showcase MMA Athletics results on the NFL players that chose to take the ultimate challenge.
Keith Rivers. And he stopped one-on-one with Keith Rivers. Catch is made by Casey Fitzsimmons. He loses his helmet. Rivers brings him down. The Bengals, they are the third best rushing defense.
So what I'm doing here is I'm doing different intervals of 30 seconds of different things to make sure these guys never get in a rhythm, we're staggering everything, but this really breaks their will. This is the thing we find where these guys' breaking point is, and then we blow past it. First time I did this with them, we did two-minute rounds. He did an 8-minute round 2 weeks ago. Come on, keep faster, 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 faster. See? You look over there and walk the wall.
Stamina is an issue for me, and this is just making that much better, and I love it. I come out here and get a great workout when you're playing 4 or 5 seconds at a time, as opposed to going 8-minute rounds. The progression of my stamina, watching it improve. 2 minutes we were gassed and we were doing things, and we could barely walk after. Each week it just got better and better.
Matthews gets there again. Clay Matthews is just so tenacious.
Clay Matthews coming off the edge.
Roethlisberger in trouble. Clay Matthews, the initial contact. Down he goes, and guess who? Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews is all over the field today.
Clay puts his hands on me in here. I can slap away like these guys do, or I could take my fist to my forearm. He puts it here. He has a ton of wonderful, beautiful nerves that go all the way up this forearm. He has it out here, boom, you can just whack away at somebody. It's not gonna be fun. Eventually in the third quarter, guys go, I won't put my hands on this guy anymore, okay? So, you'll see how he does now. We'll warm up a little bit here, but Clay got a great little thump right here. I started with him using my forearm, and he was able to whack away at my forearm. Then I put a leg pad on me, which is thin, and he started getting through that. So now, I gotta put a tie pad on my arm, and believe it or not, you can see the indentation. He actually gets in this tie pad. He does it so strongly.
This saves you out tremendously. You're not putting 4 or 5 on your back, squatting, put all that pressure on your back, your knees, all your joints. With this right here, I feel my body transforming without using weights in ways that I haven't seen before. So I feel great about myself as far as how I'm developing.
Back in trouble, the Rams have finally got a sack. Chris Long got his second sack. Oh, what a great rush by Chris Long. Oh, great effort by 72.
Chris started off kind of like John L. Sullivan.
He was like a fighting Irishman. He was so stiff.
Hey, Jay was just laughing at me like, what are you doing? Like, is that a left jab?
I said to Jay Haran, I said, he is your pet project. If we could just loosen up his hips the way that mixed martial arts loosened up Jared Allen's hips, I think we got a star on our hands here.
The first thing I said to him, like, oh man, we got to work on loosening up, and he took that like a grain of salt. He was like, no problem. That's one of my things. I'm here for it.
This training is going to translate a lot for me because I'm a D lineman and hands are big, and whether it's pass rush or playing the run, just anything to loosen your shoulders and help you be more fluid.
Here's Matt, 3 steps, throws, Roddy White's there, caught it, touchdown Atlanta.
Ground and pounding, boom, boom. Roll under, it's like I'm in the guard. I push the bag up, no hands on the ground.
I put my hands on the ground, okay? Get up, one down, one back. Put it around, put it down.
And that ground and pound drill is easily the toughest drill that we have. You know, just the techniques and what's involved. We're not using all of our limbs to get up. We're using our lower half. I'm in a way better shape than I was last offseason. Mostly because of this, I'm breathing a lot better. My conditioning, my endurance is a lot longer. I can go for longer distances, longer periods of time, and it's really helped me a lot during this offseason. So we're going to be running circles around guys in the fourth quarter if we keep this up.
With the second pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Rams select Jason Smith, tackle, Baylor.
Jason Smith, we were looking at him also. We were kind of nudging him to try to take the reins and be the leader. I'll tell you what, about a week in, he took control of that.
The guys on this level know that we're all professional football players, and the things that we do to help us will generate and help each other.
Slow it down, get technique, 1, 2, 3. Good. You know, for a big dude, I push him. You know, I make him do stuff that the lighter guys were doing, and you know, he was right up in there.
I've learned that the skilled guys like to see their big guys fighting because it encourages them, because we're 300 plus pounds, those guys are 200 and 195, and if we can do it, that inspires them, so that when that fourth quarter does come around, they know that they call on the offensive line room and make a play.
NFL fans, the second season of MMA Athletics is loaded with the sport's biggest stars. Players and teams set to appear are Chad Ochocinco, Clay Matthews, the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, the St. Louis Rams, Mercedes Lewis, Jared Page, NFL rookies DeMarco Murray and Casey Matthews, plus many more. Randy Couture and Jay Glazer have transformed MMA Athletics into one of their premier off-season training programs for all types of athletes. As you can see, we've arrived here in Toronto at Extreme Couture. Randy Couture's first true love, the sport of MMA, has gone global. We caught up with his son Ryan in our first installment of Open Guard. Does he feel the pressure of following in his father's footsteps?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, making his way to the red corner, he wears the blue trunks trimmed in white and stands 5 feet 10 inches tall. He weighed in at 155 and 1/2 pounds. He's a freestyle fighter representing Extreme Couture and fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Please welcome Ryan Couture.
I'm Ryan Couture, 2-0 professional mixed martial artist. I get asked a lot, actually, what it was like to grow up with Randy Couture as my dad, and really for most of my life, my childhood anyway, it was pretty much like any other kids. He was just wrestling at that point. You know, as I got older into high school and the sport started to take off, and he was competing a lot more in MMA and had kind of moved away from his wrestling background, you know, then people started to kind of know who he was and take an interest in the fact that he was my dad, and had all sorts of goofy questions, especially early on. You know, before people really got to know the sport, asking, you know, isn't that where one of the guys dies at the end and there's no rules at all and all that nonsense. You know, he's always, even as a little kid before he started fighting, been my idol and my role model. So, and I think he's been an awfully good one. So it's a great example to follow, and you know, not too many people I'd rather spend my time talking about than someone that I respect that much. I think there are a lot of expectations that people place on me to, you know, carry on the family name and live up to his legacy, and that's just not a type of pressure I've ever put on myself. I think that'd be unrealistic, honestly, with everything that he's accomplished to expect to even halfway live up to that. I think would be silly. So I'm working very hard to be a legitimate athlete, and you know, I'm winning fights and doing what I need to do and passing the tests that are put in front of me. And you know, at the end of the day, the last name doesn't win the fights. It's the hard work that I put in the gym, and you know, as long as I keep doing the right things, then I'll carve out my own niche, and we'll see where I end up at the end of the career. People are always wondering, actually, if he pushed me towards MMA and if I'm competing because of any pressure that I felt from him, or if it's something he encouraged me to do. And he really just kind of left me to find my own path. And you know, obviously watching him forge his career and watching the sport grow along with his career made me a huge fan of the sport and gave me a deep appreciation for it. So through that, I became a very great fan of the sport and had that interest. And then I was about 25 when I first started training jiu-jitsu, and really just thought it'd be a hobby at that point. I had always been kind of curious to try an MMA fight someday if I ever could develop the skills to where it would make sense. And the more I got into the training, the more I knew that I definitely had the skills to compete and at least give it a shot, but still never really saw it as a career option. But once I got in the cage for the first time and had my first competition, I was hooked, and I knew this is what I wanted to do for a career.
Hopefully there's no shadow. I think we figured this out a while ago through wrestling, and then I try to stay out of his way. He's developed his own passion for this. He does things his own way. Obviously he trains with us at the gym. We use the same guys, the same staff, but he's got a much different style than I do.
A lot of people are very surprised when they see me fight that I'm not a clincher and dirty boxer and a wrestler. I'm not real dominant with my takedowns. I'm perfectly comfortable fighting off of my back, and I kind of wish I did have that 30 years of international wrestling experience to draw on. I think it would make my life a lot easier in the ring, but since I don't, I've had to find what works for me, and so far that's been my submission game, and I like to look for the finish with a submission rather than with ground and pound.
He's developed, he's his own man. I'm just excited for him. I think it's going to be great.
As far as being a coach or a trainer or any kind of a resource in the MMA world, he's really left it to me to come to him if I needed advice or if I needed help, rather than stepping in and potentially overstepping and stepping on my toes. So I definitely appreciate his approach to that, because I know he's there for me, and I never have any hesitation to ask him for help if I need it, but I never feel like he's getting in the way and meddling with what I want to do. He's really letting me sort of choose my own path and do it my own way.
I think we figured out how to work it now, and me staying out of the way. And if he comes to me, I'm more than happy to be a part of it. I have cornered him a couple times, but I'm never his head corner man. I'm his head cheerleader.
Despite the fact that he's pushing 50, Dad's still a tough customer, and I pretty much resigned myself years ago to the fact that I'd never be able to kick his ass. So, so we get good work in, but he definitely gets the better of me.
So how did Randy fare in his final fight of his MMA career? Time to roll highlights from UFC 129. Check it out. Episode of MMA Athletics. What a crazy night of fights here in Toronto. Join us next week as NFL rookie DeMarco Murray